Vamos a continuar con el plan de curso. So let's continue. This is part 2 of the syllabus, and I'll be talking about grade breakdown as well as the assignments. Okay? And so you can see that the grade is not determined by any one particular thing. Instead, it is divided amongst homework, which are your online text assignments, okay? Kind of like a workbook lab manual assignments, and those are 20%. Student engagement, participation, responsibility, getting things done on time, answering the appropriate emails, etc. That's going to be 10%. Okay, you'll have online oral dialogues. There will be a total of 8 during the semester. At the very beginning, we will have 2 per week. Towards the end, it will only be 1 per week. There will also be several section quizzes. You will have 2 language and cultural contact presentations, which are 15%, and the section quizzes are 20%. And you will not have written exams, but you will have oral exams, a midterm and a final, which constitute 15% of your grade. Okay, so we do use the plus-minus system. Do keep in mind that there's no extra credit given. Okay, so online text assignments, which are, again, the 20%, I will be assigning activities to be completed every week. Now, keep in mind, a 7.5-week course does not mean it's half of the information of a 15-week course. It means it's the information of a 15-week course condensed into 7.5 weeks. So it is a lot of work. Make sure you're ready for that. Okay, so I will be assigning readings, as well as these activities in my Spanish lab for you to complete, as well as quizzes, and I'll talk about those in a moment, but these will be due on Sundays by 11:59 p.m. and no late work will be accepted, and 11:59 p.m. Arizona time. So you need to make sure that your time zones are correct. Okay. Student engagement and participation and responsibility. So throughout the semester, you'll be responsible for engaging in the course with other students. This has to do with interaction through the online dialogues, comments on your classmates' cultural contact presentations, emailing myself, and you'll also review, we will review in part 3, a section called a note on emails. Okay. Now, online dialogues are 20%. Okay. And so during 5 weeks out of basically 7 weeks, because the last week is only 2 days, you will work with a classmate. You will work with one classmate at the very beginning up until midterm, and then we will switch partners and you will work with someone else in the second half. Okay. You will be presenting an oral dialogue. You'll be given a dialogue topic, okay, at the beginning of that week, and you'll have that entire week to practice with your partner. Now, again, I mentioned that the dialogues, there's more given in the first half of the semester than the second half of the semester. So they'll be turned in on Wednesday and Sundays. Now, I just realized there is an error in your syllabus. It says using Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts really, they changed halfway through last fall semester. So I would recommend using Screencast-O-Matic or Screencast-ify. Okay. And again, if there are 2 in a week, one will be due on that Wednesday by 11:59 or midnight, and by Sunday. Okay. Now, although you will have time to practice with your partners, you should not read this. Okay. Neither should it be memorized. It should sound very natural, or as natural as possible. And you're going to be graded on your fluency, your vocabulary, your pronunciation, your grammar, and your content. Okay. Now, section quizzes. There are a couple of different kinds of section quizzes. There are vocabulary quizzes and grammar quizzes. And they serve as a quick review of the main points covered in current or previous sections. And they'll either be in the My Spanish Lab or in Blackboard. Typically the grammar is located within My Spanish Lab and the vocabulary is within Blackboard. Okay. Now, I do reserve the right to quiz the class at any point during the semester, and hopefully that should not be the case. It has not been yet in my experience. Now, they are going to be due on Sundays by 11:59 p.m. Okay. Now, the language and cultural contact presentations, again, you're going to be doing 2 of these. Okay. And again, I see there's an error and it says Google Hangouts on Air, or another similar tool. Now, Google Hangouts on Air, again, I do not recommend. I don't believe you can really do that any longer, so you will use another similar tool, and I will update the actual copy in the syllabus. Okay. So students find that they need more opportunities to practice their Spanish, observe Hispanic culture nuances outside of just the course assignments. So you're going to be completing 2 hours of language and cultural contact each week. Now you can do this by watching Spanish television, by listening to Spanish radio, by reading online or print materials. Okay, but you want to kind of keep track, log the time for yourself, provide a description of what you did, because this information will be put together into your presentation. Okay? And so basically it will be kind of every couple weeks you will be turning in your cultural presentation. Okay, so excuse me, you will be able to see Blackboard for the specific dates as well as the course outline. Okay, and again, I will correct this. It should not read Google Hangouts on Air. Okay, should use a screencasting tool. Okay, this could be Screencastify, Screencast-O-Matic, etc. Okay. Oops, I'm going to combine these two. You can see details on Blackboard. Both Screencastify and Screencast-O-Matic are free. Screencastify works in Chrome, but works on any other platform, Windows, Mac, and is a very easy way to record. Screencast-O-Matic is what I am currently using, and I personally like it. It allows up to 15 minutes of recording time. You do have to download one program onto your computer, but it is safe and it is free. That's the nice thing. And you can set it up to connect to your YouTube account, so you can just publish it directly from Screencast-O-Matic to YouTube. Makes it very nice and easy. Each presentation is going to include a summary of the activities used for contact hours, new vocabulary learned, and any cultural practices or nuances observed, how they compare and contrast with similar cultural practices or nuances in your own culture. And the oral presentation should be approximately 5 minutes in length, and as this is an introductory class, it will be in Spanish. Now, I do want you to not just, watch some telenovela that has nothing to do with healthcare. You want to try to find information that does relate to healthcare practices or relates to familiar relationships, so you can see how family relationships are. You really want to make sure that you get those in. Okay. Now, midterm and oral exams. Okay. Student instructor interviews will be administered at the middle and the end of the semester. Okay. You're going to sign up for a time on my Google Calendar, and I'm going to be choosing, first of all, I will be giving you 10 vocabulary words, okay, that you have learned from day 1 to midterm and then from midterm to final. The second part is I'm going to take one of your dialogue topics, and you and I are going to basically do that oral dialogue together. Okay? Now again, it says via Google Hangouts on Air. However, since we can no longer do that, we will use Adobe Connect. Okay? And in the rubrics online, you will see information on how that is graded. Okay? So I apologize as I'm going through this. I'm finding things that were not changed, but I will upload the actual complete syllabus with all the changes. Okay, so stay tuned for part 3.